Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday hosted by Cal State University Bakersfield Small Business Development Center. I'm Kelly Bearden and I'm your host today. So we have a good webinar number 347 from our series that began in January of 2013. Yes, episode number 347 on May 21st, 2025. We're going to be talking a lot of the tools that we have here more in depth than we usually do. We do talk about on Webinar Wednesdays, if you've ever attended, we do talk about the tools in our toolbox. We're going to go over a couple of them today and how they can really, I think, benefit you and your small business. And I'll start with a birthday greeting. Yes, a birthday greeting going out to the oldest of my 16 nieces and nephews. Wes is celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Wes. So I hope you have a great day. And as you can tell, our background today is even themed around this particular period with the official start of summer coming Memorial Day weekend this weekend. You'll see actually a shot in the background of Tenaya Lake. Tenaya Lake up near Tuolumne Meadows in the high country of the mountains of Yosemite, which should be open in the next week, 2, 3. Your guess is as good as mine right now. So today, on May the 21st, we're going to look at some great tools, and we're going to explain those tools and show you how they can help grow your business. These are tools that our students, our advisors here at the SBDC are using daily to assist businesses throughout our 3-county region of Kern, Inyo, and Mono. Our economic corner, which is a regular feature, usually a weekly feature here on Webinar Wednesday, it kind of has economic fatigue today. And so we're going to skip over the economic corner and the economic news and, pass until next week on that. Economic fatigue, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Also, we're going to talk about some news and some information and a lot of other resources to help you thrive. We have our Capital Quarter, which is another one of our regular features. Capital Quarter is going to focus on all the right stuff to get you funding and some of the things you don't think about if you're looking for funding. And funding ties into this topic today really well because we're going to be looking at LivePlan, that business planning software, and we're going to be looking at Vertical IQ in detail. And both of these are used regularly as tools for actually putting together a loan packet. A lot of the Vertical IQ material will actually contain market research information and valuable information to even make an analysis on if you want to go into business or if you want to expand your business. While LivePlan is an outstanding platform and really great for putting together a nice business plan and coming up with the information and some of the right stuff that we will see that lenders thrive. There's answers to your questions live after the presentation today. So please, if you have a question, feel free to jump in the Q&A box. Jump in that Q&A box and put in some questions for today. Our resources are going to be in the chat box, and our webinar producer and sometimes webinar guest host, Maureen Busher-Dang, will be working the chat box, putting all the resources we talk about there, so you can grab them and go on with your day. And change of mind, no poll today, no poll question. Want to make sure we have plenty of time to get through all the necessary things that we're going to share with you today. And so, first of all, we're going to jump into our regular feature, our Capital Quarter, and talk about, how SBDCs can help you obtain business funding for your particular business. We want to make sure that you're asking the right questions, you have the right questions. We want to look also at some of the lenders' views and concerns, talk about some more even resources that are coming up. And also, let's not forget about the disaster loans as a potential resource and source of capital for your business. But let's start first with answering the right questions. So, when you meet with an advisor, you're going to meet with a seasoned professional here at the SBDC. And if you're looking for funding, they're going to ask a lot of questions that are really imperative that you do before you talk to a lender. it's best to be prepared to the point of no return when you go to the lender, that really you know your business inside and out, you know your business plans, you know the questions that are going to be asked of you. The right questions are coming. Are you going to have the right answers? So, the first thing your advisor here at the SBDC might ask you if you've been turned down by a lender already and why. And what we're trying to do is to try to look at particular reasons on why one lender potentially turns you down. We're also going to want to know who that lender was, because, sometimes there are lenders out there that, might lend to a particular type of business and into an industry. And getting into our industry analysis today, that'll be important. But also, what you need to know is that there are sometimes industries that they do not lend into. For example, sometimes lenders in their portfolio, and they look at all of the loans that they make, they want to know how leveraged they are in a particular industry. So for example, today, I think we're going to be throwing around, for our examples today, we're going to be throwing around pizza businesses. I like pizza. It's lunchtime. Pizza is a food I think all of us can relate to. It's a business that we can relate to. And there are so many different variations of that go much, much broader beyond walking into a particular pizza parlor. So we'll be looking at examples of pizza businesses today as we go around. But let's use the pizza business here for an example. Potentially your lender has too many pizza businesses that they funded. Or maybe too many other food businesses. Maybe they're mobile food businesses and food trucks and other things like that. So typically a lender is going to want a balanced portfolio. So that is one reason why a lender might turn you down, just because they are not lending into your particular type of business, but there are several others. And so that is why we will ask that first question. We're going to want to know what stage of the business that you're in. Are you at startup mode? And this will come pretty easily and pretty generically. Are you existing and looking to grow or potentially expand your business? Or are you looking to maybe transition and buy a business, or buy a business that is transitioning, that is available? Maybe that is the way you grow your business. And it is by growing it is by purchasing a competitor type business. So we're going to want to know and maybe look at lenders that are most likely to lend in those particular areas. So also we're going to look, and we're going to want you to explain the model of your business and your experience. So we will jump into, how your business model is working, what's working in it and what is not working. Because oftentimes when you sit down with that first lender that you talk to, that first point of reference, what is going to happen is that person is not going to be able to approve your loan, but they are going to be able to turn you down. So what that is the first gatekeeper. It's the first hoop to jump through on your way toward obtaining a small business loan, of which you also want to know how much and what the money is going to be used for. So, oftentimes here at the SBDC, we'll have people come in and say, I need, I don't know, $50,000 to $100,000. And I'm going to use it, mostly on reserves, but also I'm going to buy some working capital and some equipment as we go. You're going to want to be much more specific on what and how much money you're going to need, even pinpointed out exactly. So oftentimes lenders will have an issue with a credit score, for example, and we might want to ask, why is it under 700? And if it's under 700, there's a reason. 700 is just kind of a number. There are programs that'll accept under 700, but some of the blue chips, some of the best and some of the cheapest money is going to be available for those at 700 and above. So let's just pick a credit score out and grab 700. Oftentimes collateral is going to need to be used in businesses, particularly when you get a business loan that isn't acquiring business assets. So you're not acquiring a building or land. You're not acquiring assets such as equipment that have a collateral value. Sometimes lenders are going to want, if you own a home free and clear, they're going to want to know if you can actually use that as a form of collateral. So that comes up. And then also the income status and how you're paid and how your business can pay. So here what we do with that information is we'll take a look at the long view. We're looking at building sustainable businesses. We want you to look at your business in the long view, not only for this quick funding right now, but maybe what this funding sets up for later. Or maybe it's a larger amount that you go after now and not come back in a year or two with growth that you're anticipating at that time. We can address eligibility issues before they come up with the lender. In looking at your situation, we know pretty much what the lender is going to be looking at. We know that there are lenders that have, a multiple, a business product or a lending product that they're looking to potentially use with you. That's great, but oftentimes if there are lenders with multiple products or if there are multiple products out there, that might benefit you even better. So we look at that as far as that situation. Always we'll start with your current lender or your current banker. So generally your banking relationship is always the first place and best place to go with, because oftentimes you'll need to move that relationship and you don't want to be moving accounts. And also you've established a relationship, maybe a rapport with this lender. And if they can help find your funding for you, then that's the greatest place to start with. So we'll ask the right questions and help structure funding, and we don't have a conflict of interest, meaning we are not paid by a lender to refer their products. We do not receive a funding or a finder's fee. We do not participate in any of those potential conflicts of interest. We're completely in this for our clients and their best gain. Lenders, what do they care about most? Well, now that we've addressed what we're going to be looking at from them, they're going to be looking at cash flow and how can you afford your new monthly payment. And they're going to be looking at your business as it's set up under this new scenario. Your business might be expanding and you might be taking on additional debt, which means you have higher cash expenditures going out, and they're going to want to see that the revenue's coming in to meet that. They're going to look at your credit report, as we had mentioned, and they're going to want to know what's on there. And oftentimes, there's no perfect, business application in most cases. So there's going to be some issues here or there, but it's being able to honestly explain those particular issues and to try to move past those, as far as we've mentioned a little bit on collateral, and then also looking at your particular industry experience, which builds to your credibility. So a lender's view will be, if the cash don't flow, the loan don't go. And that is a pretty standard analogy for most cash flow lending institutions that we deal with. They want to be able to see that your cash is going to flow, their payment's going to be in there. You're going to be able to pay yourself, and you're going to be able to pay your staff. And that is kind of some of the things we'll look at today with LivePlan with Vertical IQ. So, we have an anonymous quote who may be in a small little box in the corner here. He could be anonymous today for a very unusual and very unlikely time, but today he is anonymous. And if you're going to get your loan proceeds the same week you applied, most likely you're going to pay a stiff price for that convenience. So there's a lot of products out there that you can get online. They're going to cost you a lot of money generally. Oftentimes, they will not disclose the APR, the annual percentage rate, and how much that loan is going to cost you. So what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of opportunities, or maybe one opportunity, to where you can get a loan that's processed in a day or two, and the proceeds are put into your bank account. But what is the cost? And we want to look at the cost and all the available options before you go that route. And one way that you can find out all these options is with our Eastern Sierra Capital Summit that is going to be coming up in June, on June the 12th. It's a Thursday from 8 to 12 at the Small Business Resource Center in Main Street, Bishop, California. So we'll be looking at a lot of different funding sources and a lot of available options. Maureen has the link in the particular chat, but there's a lot of good funding programs that we're going to be discussing that day. A lot of lenders that'll be present where you can talk with them. So that's coming up for those in the Eastern Sierra and Bishop, California. One of the tools that we also use here at the SBDC, in addition to the ones we've already advertised and we'll be talking about, is our capital access form, also known as our capital assessment form. So what this is just basically something that we use at the SBDC. And here's the first 19 questions on there. They're highly personal questions. They're going to find and probe your entire financial background and history so that our advisors and our engaged student interns can work with you on trying to find the best source based on your financial situation. They're going to find the amount of money, hopefully, that you need, and basically how much that you can actually borrow in many situations. So it's not only going to be debts and loans, but there are some opportunities for, say, let's say equity, let's say crowdfunding, for example. So there's a lot of different ways here that we can ask, and these aren't all the questions, but there are several of them. Also, our SBA disaster loan limits. Here are some loan limits. We do currently have, I believe, 6 or 7, I think it's 7, actual SBA disaster loan declarations that benefit Kern County businesses. And when I say benefit them, they're not all disasters that happened in Kern County. There was a lot of fire activity in Ventura and Los Angeles County. And if your business does business with businesses that are impacted, if they burn down, if the customer base is gone, if for any reason that your cash flow has been significantly impacted, there are economic injury disaster loans that are available. And the disaster loans will go to $2 million. And also they're available for not only small businesses, but also some private nonprofits. And again, this is a working capital loan to try to get you through a very rough patch because of a disaster. And again, the disaster doesn't have to be your particular building. It doesn't have to be your particular infrastructure of any type, unless it's your customer infrastructure and it's your customer funnel, for example. And maybe that's been impacted. 3.75%, 30-year loans. So really the cheapest money you'll ever find. So some of the resources that are coming up there, in lieu of our export, of our economic corner today, maybe you want to work on your exporting game, international trade. There's obviously been a lot in the news on international trade, on tariffs and on reverse tariffs and on reciprocal tariffs and on tariffs even. We have a Tarek here today, so it's either tariffs or tariffs. And this is a way that you can unlock your digital playbook and maybe looking at international trade. If starting with Canada and Mexico is an option for your particular business and increasing your customer base. We also have a resource, our free human resource hotline, that is provided by workforce development boards throughout the Central Coast, San Joaquin Valley, and of course, your Eastern Sierra. And these numbers are listed here. These Central Valley counties have partnered with the California Employers Association to provide expert advice to employers at no cost. There is a list of a number of different counties and the phone numbers that you can call, and you can get that particular expert advice on HR. Here's our SBDC toolbox. I love that toolbox. Today you're going to see just kind of 2 tools, the LivePlan, and we're going to get with the LivePlan just momentarily. Also Vertical IQ, a lot of other tools that we have and that we relate to, but right now we're going to focus on 2 of, I think, our greatest tools, on the LivePlan business planning, and then also on Vertical IQ for industries. So let's go first of all to bring in our students. Former student, now he's an alumni, he's a graduate, he's working with the SBDC. He was our outstanding student for our School of Business and Public Administration from the SBDC, recently honored in such a capacity recently, and has worked with dozens of students, live planning and working with them on trying to put together resources to help them succeed with their business. Hello, welcome. Join me in welcoming Tarek Elhossiny as he joins in. And Tarek, jump in and take it away.
Thank you for that introduction, by the way, Kelly. So yeah, my name is Tarek Elhossiny, and I'm actually a business advisor here with the Small Business Development Center. I want to say I've been working here for about 2 years now. And essentially, what I do is I help our clients formulate their business plans, but I really specialize in the financial projection side of things, the numbers. So I've actually been fortunate enough to work with startups all the way up to multi-million dollar businesses. And I always see the same issue time and time over again. These businesses need capital, they need funding. But from my experience, no investor is going to want to invest in you without a step-by-step business plan. So today I'm actually going to show you guys one of the best resources that we have here at the SBDC that's actually 100% free to you guys once you guys sign up with services with the SBDC. And that resource is called LivePlan. So once you guys get situated with the SBDC and you create an account with LivePlan, it's going to go ahead and send you to a screen like this. So today I really just wanted to show you guys the multiple resources that LivePlan has, and I went ahead and I created a hypothetical business right here, which is called T's Slice on Wheels. So like I said, once you sign up with LivePlan, it's going to take you to a screen like this. You're going to go ahead and you're going to input your company name, and then in 2 to 3 sentences, you're going to describe your business. Now, the cool thing about LivePlan is from just inputting those 2 to 3 sentences, the AI integration is actually going to pull out industry data. And then you're going to scroll down and you're just going to start editing your financial forecasting. Let's say an investor wants to see 5 years of financial projections. Well, LivePlan has that for you. It has up to 5 years of projections with up to 3 years of monthly detail. But for this example, I just did 3 years of forecast with a 1 year of monthly detail. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go save changes. If this is your first time on LivePlan, it's going to say create company. We're just going to press create company. And then it's going to take you to a screen like this. Now, essentially, this is how your business plan is outlined, but we're going to get to that later. The first thing I wanted to show you guys is our sample business planning database. Essentially, we have clients who come in and they want to take a look at a business plan before they even start one. And this is something that I highly suggest because, we may know how we want to structure our business, but then we read somebody else's business plan and we start comparing and contrasting from that. So on the bottom right of your screen, you're probably going to see this blue icon. Above that icon, we're going to look at this LivePlan learning icon. We're going to scroll down and we're going to press on the sample business planning tab. Now, the cool thing about this is that you have the option to look over 550 plus business plans from several different types of industries. But for this example, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up a pizzeria. So all I'm going to do is type in pizzeria. And then nice. So we have all these pizzeria business plans. I'm going to just tap on the first one. And I'm probably going to slander this name, but I'm going to say it anyway. Pizzeria del Causamali. All right. Now, the two main things I like to look at on these sample business plans is how much it costed for them to start up and what's their profit and loss looking like. Cool thing about this is that we could take a look at that. So I'm going to go scroll down over here. And I'm gonna look at all their startup expenses. We could see right here that they're spending they need 1,800 on professional fees, they need 8,300 on renovation, they need 2,500 in marketing. But let's go see what's the total amount of funding that they need. So they need about $80,000 to even start. Now, this is just really good insight, I thought, because you may have a ballpark idea of how much capital you need, but then you start reading other people's business plans and then you realize, I'm gonna have to allocate my money towards these other expenses. Now, I thought that was pretty neat. Now, the main thing I really like to look at is the profitability of this business. And the great thing about this database is that we could actually take a look at that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to scroll down all the way to the P&L statement. So nice. All right, so from just by looking at this, we could see that they made $240,000 in revenue. But I like to know how much did it cost for them to even get to that revenue. So they spent 56,587 on direct costs, and their gross margin is 184,000. Nope, that's not what you take home. You still have to put in all the other miscellaneous expenses into account. And this is just really good insight because we could see how much they're allocating their money to these uh, separate things or whatnot. So we can see right here that they spent 105,000 towards payroll. Their rent was 14,400. Their total operating expenses were 149,452. So basically we take this number, subtract it with that, and then we get the net profit, which is 23,483. And another thing that I really like to look at is, the potential for growth. Are they growing every year? Are they making, some progress every year? And just by looking at, these numbers right here, we could see that they are doing that. First year, they made 9.76 in net profit. Next year, 11.73%. The next year is 13.31%. So now that we know that the business is somewhat profitable, this is when I like to go back and start formulating that business plan. Let me go ahead and go back to that tab. So this right here is basically how your business plan is going to be outlined. But the cool thing about LivePlan is that you could cater your business plan to your own. You can make it your own. Let's say some of these topics are not topics that you want to correlate to your investors. The cool thing about this is that you could actually remove these topics and you could add your own custom topics, which I thought was pretty neat. Sometimes, for example, I have a client right now who needed a custom topic to really explain to his investors how he's going to consolidate his debt. So we went ahead and we made him a topic called debt consolidation. That's basically just showing your investors how you're planning to consolidate your debt. Now, the cool thing about LivePlan as well is that it really alleviates the stress of the business planning process. All you have to do is go in, read the instructions for these templates, and then in 2 to 3 sentences respond. Let the AI expand your response, and then go in and rewrite that outline. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just give you guys an example. So I already filled out all of this, but I'm gonna go ahead and just give you guys an example of the AI integration into this. So right here, we already have our executive summary built out. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just erase all of this. I'm gonna press on the instructions. Like I said, it's really straightforward. This software really just alleviates all the stress for you. Now, we could see what it's asking for in this topic, in this section. And the coolest thing ever is that it even gives you an example of what you could write into that section. So what I'm gonna do right here is I'm gonna just copy this right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna paste this into the section. And as you can see right here, it has the LivePlan Assistant sign right here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna press rewrite, and it gives me all these different AI options. You could change it into a more professional tone, a more persuasive tone, a more academic tone. For now, I'm just gonna auto improve it. So right here, I just pressed auto improve, and just by those couple of sentences, it just expanded all that information for you. But one thing my boss tells me and I tell my clients is you never want to fully rely on AI. You want your business plan to look authentic. Just use this software to help you basically expand your ideas and then go in and authenticate it yourself. Now that I showed you guys that, let me go back to the outline or whatnot. So this is basically how your business plan is structured. Usually I like to keep it how it is. Like I said, you could tweak it to however you like. But I just wanted to show you guys some of the topics. This is stuff that your investors are going to want to see. But one thing I want to highlight is I think the two most important parts about your business plan is the financial projections and the key assumptions. Being able to relay your projections into words. How did you formulate these numbers? No investor is going to want to look at your charts and whatnot and be like, how did he even come up with these numbers? So that's what the key assumptions is for. It's basically being able to relay your projections into words. And like I said, I'm just gonna scroll by right here and show you guys some of these topics and whatnot. I want to say, the written part is probably the easiest part about your business plan. Once it starts getting into the projections, the numbers, that's where stuff gets a little bit more intricate. But the great thing about LivePlan is that it makes it really simple for you. And another cool thing about LivePlan is that we could basically tell if your business is projected to be profitable or not before you invest your time and your money into it. Now, how do we do that, you may ask? So I would sit down with you and I would ask you, how many streams of revenue do you have in your business that are bringing you money? Which is what I listed right here for my pizza sales. Then I'm going to ask you, how much is it going to cost you to run these revenue streams? Then I'm going to ask you, how many employees are you bound to have and how much do you want to pay them and yourself? That's the personnel. And then we go into the miscellaneous expenses, which is your POS system, your utilities, fuel and maintenance right here, rent, insurance, all that other stuff. And then we can even input sales taxes and corporate taxes. And then that's when I like to start playing scenarios of loans. I like to see how profitable are you going to be with a $50,000 loan compared to a $100,000 loan. That's when we start running multiple scenarios. And the cool thing about LivePlan is that you have the ability to run up to 5 different scenarios. So for example, I'll put in an $80,000 loan. I'll already put in all my revenue streams, my direct costs and personnel, and then boom, I get a nice overview of the net profit I'm bound to make. So I thought that was a really, really neat feature. Now, pretty much the last tab that I wanted to show you guys is the industry data tab. Now, after you're done, filling out your business plan, putting in the numbers. Ooh, I may have messed something up right here, but that doesn't really matter. So the cool thing about LivePlan is that we could compare your numbers with the industry average. So for example, right here, revenue spent on payroll was 15%. My forecast says 114%. I definitely messed something up while tweaking this, but it's just really cool insight for you guys to have. You could see how well you're bound to do compared to to the industry average. And some other cool sections here that you could look at is this is basically the industry data tab, and you can basically see, the risks in your business. So for example, I always suggest my clients take a look at this type of stuff. So we can see the business exit rate is 5.0. This is comparable to the US average for all businesses. We can see the external risk, the industry outlook. I like to really look at this tab to the left, the industry outlook, because it's going to tell me the industry average growth rate. So we could literally see, the potential for growth for your business. And this number, this is basically what I use to project how much you're gonna make in the next fiscal years. So basically I use that 5% and I would add it to your year-end totals, and that would basically tell me, what's the room for potential here for your business? How much are you bound to growth with a 5.7 industry average growth rate? If that makes sense. Now, pretty much the last thing I wanted to show you is how your business plan is going to look like once you're done inputting all this information. All you had to do was go in, fill out all these templates and whatnot, and then you're going to go ahead and download and print. Let me see if you can edit your options right here. So this essentially is how your business plan is going to look like when you're done inputting all that information, all those numbers and whatnot. We have a nice, beautiful table of contents. We have all these topics right here that your investors are definitely going to want to look at. But like I said, I feel like the 2 most important parts about your business plan is the key assumptions and the financial projections. So right here, we can see the financial plan, other stuff. They're going to look at the revenue by month, expenses by month. Then we're going to look at this nice little balance sheet. We could see that we had 337,000 in revenue. Direct cost is 87,000. Operating expenses is 135,000. And the net profit is around 86,000. So we could just tell that our, idea is going to be profitable. So yeah, essentially this was pretty much all I had to show you guys today. I'm gonna go ahead and give.
Well, come over here.
All right.
So a couple things about Tarek's presentation. Fine job, young man.
Thank you.
One thing is that this business plan is geared toward somebody who's trying to receive some type of funding and capital funding. And here at the SBDC, I can tell you that that is usually the case why people will want to write a business plan. However, I'm a big proponent of writing a business plan to strategically guide your business. And that is a great use of LivePlan too, to go in and to provide a blueprint and strategically map where the direction of your business is going. So I get excited when clients come in and want to do that. And, our LivePlan, we can have you produce your business plan, but we can't have you sustain it here because we only have so many licenses and there is such demand. And LivePlan does cost a couple of $100, and it's a premium subscription software program. And maybe that's the reason that the LivePlan gives us I like to think of a sweetheart deal with them. So their goal is to kind of move you off there long term and to do long term planning. So there's a lot of different possibilities when you get into business planning, when you get into strategic planning, and there's a lot of different options and purposes and even audiences. We see people that come in and they want to do an audience that's just strictly internal. A lot of the aspects of this plan are jumping into internal and external. So fantastic stuff.
Appreciate it.
Anything else to add?
One thing I want to add is like I said, you have that sample business planning database. Let's say you have an idea of an industry that you want to enter, but you start looking at the balance sheet, and that's not how much you really like. This isn't a feasible industry for you. One thing I would suggest is that you go into that sample business planning database and you start searching up other industries. You start looking at how profitable they are, and see if that's a more feasible industry for you to enter.
Okay, good stuff. So our second program we're going to go over, I'm actually going to do that for you today. Our student was unable to attend the live session this afternoon, and we do live webinars. That's what we do. Jumping into a little bit of vertical IQ. And so vertical IQ is basically an industry-based program. So in this particular case, what I did was I went into full service restaurants, which where you will find a pizza parlor. I jumped into that beforehand. Whereas Tarek took you through LivePlan, and it is very interactive to where you can work with your SBDC advisor, and you could actually do work yourself, and you can share updates, and everything is seamless. Vertical IQ is a little different to where what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and determine what you need out of vertical IQ and produce reports for you. So again, we're going to be reproducing this market analysis information, a lot of good consumer data, a lot of good trends and reports on where things are going. So this is going to be basically the one sticking with our pizza theme today in our pizza parlor. I will go in and let me actually pull up a report, which is a comprehensive report based on the pizza business, on the pizza industry. So we are able to print these reports out. The contents are privy to actual vertical IQ. But we are able to actually print these out for our clients and do so on a regular basis. So what are in these reports, you might ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. As you can see, there are 17 related chapters, as I might say, 17 different uses. This is a report that's going to cover about, I think this one is 52 pages on the pizza industry. So what do you want to jump in and see? Do you want to jump in and see, you want to first maybe look a little bit about current conditions. And current conditions are what is happening in the particular full service restaurant industry right now. And these are from reports and studies around. And look at that, reservation scalping. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that places that have reservations and they're hard to get into, which I wish were more of our clients in restaurants, that they were actually going to develop sites online to scalp those particular reservations. Don't have a reservation? Apparently you can buy one online. Consumer spending rose from the previous month. That's important. Consumer spending is going to drive food type businesses. So that's something, and also looking at where personal consumption. So I can share with you a ton of actual information on trends and what's going to potentially happen. So we have that particularly report in ours. Going and looking at another thing that is kind of tied to current conditions, but let's look at industry trends. So some of the industry trends in the pizza business these days, staffing levels are recovering. So we have the benefit of actual, businesses being able to hire a little bit more and to do a little bit more in those particular area. Labor costs obviously rising as well, and rising menu prices. Obviously, that's a trend, even if you're not in the food business, but see it from the other. And with other thing you're seeing is tipping is declining. There's a tipping fatigue going on. And so those are the trends that are happening right now in that particular aspect. So looking at some of the other things that you might want or other information is going to be valuable for not only planning, but for strategic managing, doing some longer term planning. There is also an industry forecast. We've done some of that. And here's the cash management aspect. Let's click on to cash management. And you'll see that uneven demand. So uneven demand for the product. Restaurants are seeing that, one night is busy, the next night isn't. So uneven demand is a factor, and also variable food cost, and also some of the shortfalls in cash flow due to inadequate staffing, where they're unable to maybe work the number of hours. So looking into working capital, it shows managing and pay, a lot of the reporting things. It does disclose that, full service restaurants are typically sell and invoice. So basically sell and invoice is you get paid basically at the time your sale occurs, rather than some of you out there that might have to sell and then invoice your particular and collect at a different time. So these are going to happen at that particular time and at the particular sale. So there's the information on that. Jumping into something that you might find interesting is the SBA lending aspect, capital financing. So they talk about the number of SBA guaranteed loans, which are also called 7A loans, that are available to food service restaurants. Capital financing overview. There'll be examples of equipment purchases that are available and the price that they are going for now. All types of things jumping in. It continues into business valuation. And so what it does is it looks at maybe some rule of thumbs on what your particular pizza business might be worth. So what is the pizza business worth? And this comprises the most complete financial details of over 42,500 acquired businesses. So really good information on the number of transactions, the value of particular metrics. We can explain this information to you right here. For example, price to EBIT is earnings before income taxes. And so that would be the price of the particular what the business sold for. So good history on that particular information, your financial benchmarks. Whereas we jumped into financial benchmarks in LivePlan, a little bit more comprehensive information. And really the thing that I see a lot of people gravitating toward, they want to know how their business is performing financially against that industry. And we can provide that information to you. Right here we'll give you the industry standards. And these informations, a lot of these financial ratios, the quick ratios, are on your balance sheet. Your SBDC advisor can work with you on finding that information. Your profit and loss statement or your income statement will also show, the level of what cost of sales and also salary and wages and other compensation are in your particular type of business. In this case, our pizza business. So there is more information right there. Scanning down and continuing down this particular process, we'll see that there's bank product usage. So some of the top firms or top ways that you might use bank products at your particular pizza business. So you might be saying, gee, obviously we have a checking account, a business checking account. Almost every business has that, but only 14 of them have virtual cards or get into equipment leasing. So kind of ways on how other industries, other businesses within your industry are using financial information and using bank information for that matter. So a quarterly insight can show you things that are happening as far as in here we have in the first quarters, the quarterly insight is focused on earned wage access. In the fourth quarter, it was from actual income from tips and tips declining. And declining tips can actually save a restaurant business money. I'll explain another time. Those restaurants that are out there know what I'm talking about. So a lot of this as far as plant-based filet mignon. I'll try it. So working on down some of the industry terms that we get into in business, the front of the house, the back of the house, casual dining. What are some of the things? There's your front of the house. A few things like that into some of the information that has been used, and they go to web links and some of the national trends that are out there and some of the businesses and some of the resources that they've used in this report. Related profiles, and these are going to be businesses that are related to my pizza business. So I might sell beer at my pizza, I think about most pizza parlors do. There could be a coffee. There could be a gourmet coffee in a pizza business. You'd be surprised. Coffee in the morning, pizza at night. I see it in Kern County. So also some restaurants and some wine and spirits, some other things, and they're all labeled by their standard industry code and their NACE code, which is the North America Industry Code Standards. So that's kind of what's in here to some degree, what's in Vertical IQ and how it might benefit your particular business. So let me stop the share here and come back to, our particular thing here, see if we have any questions and answers. Well, hopefully you're answering your own questions, but not. We'll see if it's for Tarek or myself. It's like, can you help me validate my revenue assumptions and cost structure? Okay, Tarek, come on in here. We got questions for you. So can you help me validate my revenue assumptions and cost structure? For me, the answer to that would be yes, because one way to validate is by historic results. And if you have historic results, you would have an income tax return, you would have maybe monthly cookbook or some other type of financial accounting data or any type of data. So we can validate it based on that of what your entire assumptions to that. And also, if you don't have that, if you're a startup, what we can do is we can go through the process of industry analysis and try to do the best that we can to make as true as possible your revenue and cost structure assumptions. Anything to add, Tarek?
I think you pretty much took the words out of my mouth, but what I would add is go ahead and do your market research. And like I said, look at other people's revenue assumptions and whatnot, and kind of take that into account as well.
So how long should a business plan be? That's the next question.
How long should a business plan be? That's a great question. That really depends on the investor that you're going to. But I really think that a business plan shouldn't be much longer than 10, 15 pages. And like I said, you should only really highlight that you should only really allocate most of your time with the financial projections and the key assumptions, like I said.
And I will say that, your business plan can be, if you're looking for funding, it can be as short as 5 pages and as long as 100 pages. If you're an existing business with historic cash flow and tax returns that show you've been successful, then getting a loan on that is going to require basically what your new project entails and basically a little bit of what you plan to do. If you're looking to raise $3 million for a high-tech venture, you're going to probably need a very detailed business plan and more information on that particular plan for, as Terry calls investors, we also call them lenders and others in that particular area. So what specific financial statements do banks and investors want to see? Well, I think the standards are going to be your financial results, your profit and loss, also your balance sheet. If you have any cash flow forecasts or statements, those are always nice to have. And can you help me format this plan to meet SBA requirements? We do have advisors that are available. Tarek, you've done a few of those, haven't you? Financial projections?
Yeah, no, that's actually what I specialize in.
I have a pitch presentation coming up. Can I use LivePlan to support that?
For sure. I actually, sometimes I create pitch decks from your LivePlan business plan. So, like I said, go ahead and sign up with services with the SBDC and we can help you situate that.
Perfect. Okay, that's in the Q&A box. Right now, we'll jump to the chat box and see what's in our chat. Greetings and salutations. Welcome, everybody. A little late in the webinar, but still, I'm welcoming you. Also, information on our Eastern Sierra Capital Summit coming up, SBA website for disaster relief, the June 3rd program on Unlock Your America's Digital Playbook for, exporting and getting to know exporting. There you can meet with an advisor and talk about LivePlan. You can meet with an advisor and talk about Vertical IQ. There's your link right there to get started. Also, yes, you can get an appointment for the business planning. Go into that link right above in the webinar chat. You'll see our website there, csbsbdc.com/get-bar started, whatever. So there we go there. And also Google reviews. If you found today's beneficial, well, leave us a Google review. We appreciate that so much. And thank you for all of you that have attended today. It's great to showcase, the great work being done over at our College of Business and Public Administration by our students. And Dean Deborah Kors, you guys do a great job of coaching up these people and bringing them over here. They do some great work with our small businesses. We really appreciate that. And it looks like we're out of time. Any last thoughts, Tarek?
No, like I said, if you guys are looking to start a business plan or whatnot, the services are free once you sign up with the CSUB Small Business Development Center.
Yeah, if you want to start a business plan, that's great. If you want to start a whatnot, go somewhere else. Okay, that's my joke for today. And it's not funny, so I'm going to get out of here. For Tarek, Kelly Bearden here. We'll be back next week. We have a great webinar next week with the County of Kern and some great programs from the County of Kern. And those are going to include a new potential grant program out to assist businesses located in the county. Also, some of the great employment programs, some of the incentives, all the great things the County of Kern is doing for businesses here in Kern County, California. So be here next week. Be here or be square. We'll be back then. Everybody have a fantastic week. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. And we'll see you then. So long, everyone.